This is a book called The Jews of Arab Lands in Modern Times by Norman A. Stillman. Philadelphia, New York, published in 1991. The Jewish Publication Society. Now, a lot of these Jewish organizations, and you can see them in large cities, they have books of libraries and so forth. Well, a lot of them really have been tainted. Since 1948, they've been tainted. And so a lot of the history of the black Jews, the real Jews, is when we say black, that's actually a byword. The real Jews of dark skin were all over Africa, East, Middle East, the eastern lands of India, all the way to the Americas and Europe. So let's turn the page. Let's go to this chapter on page 218, page 218. And it says, the arrival of new personage put an end to the scene. A Jewish, meaning convert, itinerant merchant from Nafusa, returning from Fazan, gave me some very lively details of the mode of living and of trading of the Jewish itinerant merchants, who follow all the routes of the Sahara and face all the dangers which infest them. This wasn't a popular thing to be Jewish until Britain started ruling over the European nations. All right, when the EU started to, I say around after the Byzantine, actually after the Ottoman Turk Empire, that's when it became popular to be Jewish again. You know, a convert. So a lot of people started converting. After the 8th century was one, but then after the 13th century was another, and then a huge fusion of converts happened in the 1800s. Lively details of the mode of living and of trading of the Jewish itinerant merchants, who follow all the routes of the Sahara and face all the dangers which infest them. As for the Jews of the southern Sahara and of the Sudan, he did not remember ever having met them. Why? Because these Jews were always hidden. These Jews stay far away from people. These Jews, you're going to find out what they look like. But he assured me that there exists, at least in the East Sudan, a black-skinned population, which some called the Phillistym. Phillistym means heavenly, and which are generally known among the Tuareg as the Crete. They observe the Sabbath and are known to be of Judean origin. These were the ancient Israelites. They weren't Jewish, they were Israelites of Judean stock. All right, so now we see that in the Sahara and in the Sudan, there are actually still brothers who know that they're Jews that stay far away from people. They live remotely to themselves. This book is from Babylon and Timbuktu by Rudolf Windsor. If you read here, page 133, what does he say? Before Dr. Godbey published this book, The Lost Tribes, a Myth, that's a book, Rabbi Matthew organized a Hebrew congregation in 1918. That's before 1948. And proclaimed that the black people of the United States and the West Indies are the original black Hebrews. In other words, the original black Israelites. Okay? All right, this is a map of Yemen Jews and Falasha Berbers, Moorish and Negro Jews. The names in red in the northern Sahara are oases in which some Berber Judaism survives. it is estimated about 15,000 Jews are scattered through the interior. All right, so this is Minoan Philistines. All right, because also the Egyptians were scattered throughout Africa too. All right, so we're going to go to this map that was printed in the 18th century, and just look at some of the names on here. You got the Dahomey Jews on the west coast of Africa. Ashanti says Israelite traces. Pretty much we were all over the Sierra Leone, Liberia, right? You got the tribe of Ephraim there. You have the tribe of Levi, Levite cities. This is all up in the Gulf of West Africa. Okay, Ghana and Cameroon and Gabon and even San Tome. This was an island that we fled to from Portugal and Spain. San Tome. They had plantations on this island. This is where they sent all the Jews from Spain and Portugal. All in here. We also migrated through these areas during that time and also during the destruction of the temple at Jerusalem. As you can see here, Lo Andi Jews. Okay. Here's another one, Mavumba Jews, which we went over earlier. It means Judeo-Jews. Judeo-Jews. All right. Let's go to the East Coast. Near Somalia, and it has the Tabiban Jews. You have Yemen Jews. You have Elephantine Jews, 602 BC. You have Abydo Jews. It's during the Persian period. Mind you, this is all in Africa. We have up north, where Libya is, and the Sahara Desert is, more Jews, all these little areas. Notice this right here, Dogotan. This is Dogotan Jews. All right, all in this area. Jew garrisons, because in northern Africa, we were causing all kinds of uproars up here. With our laws, statutes, and commandments, more people started to convert and become proselytes. Okay, Cyrene, all in these areas. Angola, we had Jews all over. Lam Jews. All right, the Lam Jews act like judges. They were like Levite judges. But yeah, we had Jews all over the place. All over Africa. Not just Africa, all over the world, but these are where most of our people fled to after the destruction of the temple during 70 AD. And also have maps on America where a lot of brothers were to different locations besides Europe, because most people think the Jews only went to Europe. Yeah, we were all over. The Jews, A Study of Race and Environment by Maurice Fishberg. It was published in 1911, but I believe it was published a lot earlier, because when you go here, this is Cornell University Library, bought with the income of the Sage Endowment Fund, given in 1891 by Henry Williams Sage. So it was probably put together a lot earlier than that. We're going to jump over to page 149, and we're going to start out where I put a little mark there. It says, it is stated that the Philistys are not the only Jews of Negro race, Bastian speaks of Negro Jews living on the Luangwa coast in Western Africa. Now, we talked about that. We showed where these brothers were in Luangwa, which is in West Africa. It says they are called their Mavamba, or Judeos. So Muvamba means Judeos. See that? Because it said in the map, Mavamba Jews. But Mavamba itself means Judeos. Here's another one, Mavumba Jews, which we went over earlier, means Judeo Jews. They are, on the whole, a fair-looking race, says Bastian. They are more serious and restrained than the rest of the Negroes. Although in other places they are despised, here they take a dominating position, or at least such as to be respected and partly even feared, because they are rich and have most of the commerce in their hands. The same author claims that though they are of Negro race, still he detected Semitic facial features in the physiognomies. Even in Madagascar, which is on the east coast of Africa, on another island, opposite direction of Saint Thome Island, it says a traveler has discovered Jews. So we were all over Africa. Sebre mentions that in Ambo-Hapino, on the east coast of that island, he met natives who called themselves Zafi, Ibrahim, or descendants of Abraham, and who claimed to be altogether Jews. But I could not detect any difference in color. See that? You can tell the difference from the Africans from the Jews. But I could not detect any difference in color, features, or dialect between them and the other people of the eastern coast, comments the author. The most curious class of Negro Jews is said to have existed where? In Jamaica and Suriname. Now, a lot of people think these were white Jews, but these were black Jews who also ran from the coast of Spain into these islands in the Americas. Let's jump over here. And we're going to go to page 150 and drop down to what's highlighted here. It says, some have suggested that most of the Karaites are the descendants of the Khazars, which is Khazars, a Turanian tribe in South Russia which adopted Judaism during the 8th century, though the Khazars were rabbinic Jews and followed the Talmud as well as the other Jews. So he's telling you right here that these particular people, they became converts. But it may be true that many of the Khazars, after the destruction of their kingdom, may have joined the Karaites. See that? Let's find out further. Who are these Karaites and why are they so important today? Because they are claiming to be someone who they are not. We're going to go over to page 191 and let's read more about the Khazars. It says here on page 191, the most important infusion of non-Jewish racial elements into the veins of Eastern European Jews took place in the 8th century when the Khazars adopted Judaism. See that? These were not Jews. They were converts. It reads, these Khazars were of Turanian origin, and their kingdom was firmly established in where? South Russia. For about 200 years until subdued by the Russians, these Jews, so the Russians are different people too. You got to understand that Shem is the smallest group of people there are, the Shemitic people. Ham and Japheth are the biggest nations, although the Messiah said that we will multiply in the last days. All right. For about 200 years until subdued by the Russians, these Jews flourished and were considered a power in that region. There is considerable historical evidence that, after the destruction of their kingdom, many of them mingled with the Jews in that region and in other countries. So these Khazar or Khazar Jews, who were of white shade or Caucasian shade, they migrated north from where they were in the Khazar area, which was close to Caucasus Mountains. So they migrated north into Russia. And it says here, it is stated by many authorities that the Jews in South Russia, Hungary, Romania, and part of Poland are mainly descendants of Khazars who intermarried with Jews. Now, do you see what I'm telling you right now? This is going on. Where's Putin at? From Russia. The president of Russia, Putin, has deemed war on all these countries, mainly Ukraine. But all the surrounding countries around Ukraine are Hungary, Romania, and Poland. Isn't that something? The very thing that we're reading here is where the war is going on. And gas runs all through these countries. This is why Russia is trying to control it. All right. It says, so this is important today. And it also shows you that they are not the Jews who you thought they were. They are Khazars. But the real Jews were dwelling in Africa. Okay, this book is called How a Race of Pygmies Was Found in North Africa and Spain. And it was published in 1897. I just want to show you one small segment. Now, we know Pygmies being small and midget-looking. That's where your mind goes, but that's not really the case when you read this book. It's just the title. They do talk about Pygmies, but they also talk about Jews. Now, this is on page 47. We're going to start here where the line is. It says, the Dagada, or black Jews, are not in reality Jews. Why? Why aren't they in reality Jews? Let's read. But are so classed by the Arab traders and slave dealers, just as other black tribes are classed as Christians. I have come across many of these Dagada who are easily recognizable by the 3 deep scars on their cheeks, a tribal mark. They are said by the other Sudan tribes to be cannibals, and are generally despised on this account, and on account of the general belief in their being Jews. So people were more persuaded by the rest of these Sudan tribes to believe that they were cannibals than Jews. As far as I could discover, in conversation with much of them, as I have met in slavery, and who had learned Arabic, they are pagans, but adopt Mohammedan very readily. Why do they accept it very readily? Because death was at their door if they didn't accept being a Muslim in that land. So these brothers who were called Dagada, they were actually Jews. If you saw the police talk to a Blood or a Crip, they would never own up to being a Blood or a Crip. They would make the investigator or the cop swill and turn to figure out who he was. It's the same thing here. Why would they tell their enemies that they're Jews so they could get slaughtered by these Mohammedan, these Arab slave traders? So they were black Jews, but they were under the chains of fear. We're going to go into this book. It's called Hebrewisms of West Africa, and we're going to find out who this Dagata was. Let's go to page 208, and when we go to page 208, Look at what it says. Dogatans. So they were Jews. It says the Jews referred to may be the same as those described by Mordecai Abu Sarur, who published, let me shrink it back, who published the results of his travels through Morocco and speaks of a warlike tribe in the Sahara whom he calls Dogatans, and states that they are descendants of early Jews. See that? So they were Jews. They were fearful of the Muslims. So they said that they were cannibals. Let's go to page 236. The same book. Okay, so we know that they were migrating all over. It says here, the materials at his disposal will clear up many problems of the history of the Jews during the Middle Ages. To the writings of the Arabs, right, because the Arabs changed history, and the oral traditions of the country, he can now add the archaeological evidence furnished by, we're going to read this insert of a testimony of a pilot. It says, heart of the African desert. Surrounded on all sides by savages and semi-civilized Moors and Berber tribes, is the discovery of M. René Leblanc, French, consul at Akka in southern Morocco. M. Leblanc descended on the outskirts of the Jewish settlement when his plane, forming part of a map-making expedition in the Sahara Desert, strayed from its companions, developed engine trouble, and was forced to come to Earth. The Jews informed him that their settlement bore the name of Alana, and that he was, at that point, a 10-day journey by caravan from the proverbially inattainably Timbuktu. He goes on to say in his report, registered with the Geographical Society of France, that his surprise was more than agreeable when, upon reaching terra firma, the folks surrounded his triple airplane, and by all manner of signs and tokens indicated that he was a welcome visitor and honored guest. Let's drop down here. We'll start it by, it says, by dint of diligent questioning, M. Leblanc learned that the Jews hailed from North Morocco, but that their fathers, under pressure of persecution, had left the Mediterranean shores many years ago. So why were they calling themselves cannibals? Because they were under persecution. They rather call themselves cannibals than call themselves Christians. The intention of the fathers had been of travel by way of Egypt to Palestine and settled there. Hostile tribes, disease, hunger, and poverty, and other vicissitudes had interfered with the ancestral project of reaching the Promised Land, and they had remained in the desert, but the Jews assured him that they never had abandoned hope altogether, continuing their interrupted migration someday of untimely residing in the land that flows with milk and honey. Although Jews spoke Arabic, they used Hebrew lettering in their script. Their ritual service had undergone not the slightest modification. They assured the council and their brethren in Israel would immediately recognize them by the ancient usages kept in honor amongst them. Let's jump over here to 237. Page 237 of Hebrewisms in West Africa. It says, in particular, Slot states two groups of the desert still retain their Jewish consciousness. I'll just say Judean consciousness. The Machir, a settled population of Judean origin, who are found at Tugut and Tuat, and the Dagatuns, a powerful tribe, Islam Bedouins, who camp on the route from Timbuktu to Sudan. So these were the Dagatas, were the black Jews. So they did exist. I just want to read one more thing before I cut this off. Just showing you that we have to also take the Islamic captivity just as serious as the Edomite captivity, because a lot of our brethren were really slain, and a lot of us tend to forget that this right here, the legacy of Arab Islam in Africa, that killed a lot of our brethren. That put a lot of fear in our people who were Jews, that start calling themselves Jews and start calling themselves Moors and start calling themselves Muslim. I want to read an insert from a man named Comte Rene Lamour. Passing through in Selah, this is in Africa, towards the end of November 1910, he wrote, according to the tradition, in Selah was founded by a Judean colony that had migrated after the destruction of the temple at Jerusalem. One thing a lot of us have to understand is a lot of these curses from Deuteronomy 28, it really didn't start until after we left Jerusalem, after Christ was crucified. And what a lot of our people don't understand is during the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, this was after the time of Christ, and Yahushua Mashiach prophesied that Jerusalem will be caved in from the four corners of Jerusalem. And he told those who were in Jerusalem to flee into the wilderness, flee to the mountains. And as soon as he passed away, although the curses were here before, they really took effect right after he passed away and rose again from the dead. But that's when all this stuff started happening. This is when we really started losing our heritage, after Yahushua. So I'm going to continue to read this so you can see how serious this Islamic captivity was, that we literally lost ourselves out of fear. It says, its inhabitants dwelt quietly and under cover of the struggle, not unlike persons shipwrecked in the desert, up to the time when the Moors were driven from Spain. All right, so who were just these Moors? There were Jews that were also driven from Spain, remember? There were Jews. Let's look at it. There were Jews also in Spain. Black Jews. Here it is right here. Especially dark. This is Nature Knows No Color Line page. This is Nature Knows No Color Line, page 123. It reads, especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. The Duchess de Abrantes, wife of Napoleon ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. In other words, Negroes. All right? So when it speaks here, it says, at this period, when it says, up to the time when the Moors were driven from Spain, that's what it's talking about. At this period, the Muslims, who heretofore had tolerated this Jewish population, because the Moors and the Jews were one almost. They dwelt hand in hand with each other. Now massacred them almost to a man, massacred all the men to one man. The town lost its importance, the more so as the massacre coincided with the subsidence of the springs, as happened in many other parts of the desert, where some entirely disappeared. Some of the Jews entirely disappeared. This is why they started taking on different names. This is why they started calling themselves not only cannibals but Muslims. The relations that had existed between the Mohammedans and the Jews had for the most part been friendly after the initial hatred of the Prophet had worn itself out. In this connection, we are told by Samuel M. Zweimer, in the 7th year of the Hijrah, 629 A.D., Muhammad assembled a force of 1,600 warriors and marched against the Judeans' stronghold at Calabar. I brought up Calabar before. The Jews were subjugated or slain, and there was much booty, including a new wife for the prophet, meaning they slayed so many men that they got the leftovers, which was the children and the women and the goods. About 2 years previously, he had conducted an expedition against the Jews of Beni Qurayza, when 700 captives were slain. In the 6th year of the Hijrah, also there had been expeditions against the Jews and idolaters. The Prophet's earliest hostilities then would seem to have been against the Jews and idolaters. So yeah, Islam, we're against Islam too. They stole our heritage too, the Muslims.
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.